Hi, this is Brandon from Watches on You. Today we're back at JB Hudson Jewelers in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and we are taking a look at a very special watch. This is the IWC Portugieser Tourbillon Hand-Wound. Without further ado, let's drop down to the inspection pad and we can take a closer look at this very interesting watch. Alright, so let's take a closer look at the IWC reference IW546302. And if you guys remember, I'd say probably around 2 months ago, we reviewed the reference IW504402, which had a retrograde date and looks slightly different than this. It had a power reserve also. I would say that I actually like this a little bit more because it's got a far simpler dial. I mean, it's not too simple where there's a lot of empty space on it, in my opinion. But I think I prefer this more as a dress watch. The other one, it had a lot going on. I'll just kind of go into the main feature of this watch now. So, this watch obviously is a tourbillon, and that takes up a majority of the dial. I'd say that it's a little bit more kind of pronounced on this dial than that other watch that we had reviewed. But I mean, they did an excellent job. I really like how they included brushed red gold surrounding where the tourbillon is on the dial. I think it really highlights that position. And one thing that I am kind of confused about on the dial is why they actually included a subdial seconds. I think on tourbillons it's pretty common to see why they or to see that on some watches at least they have the seconds kind of surrounding the tourbillon because they can use that as a measure of the running seconds. But I mean, they decided to do that. I would actually guess is that they did that because if they hadn't done that, there'd be a huge amount of kind of open space on the dial. But I mean, I still think the subdial seconds, it looks great. They're much easier, obviously, to read than the tourbillon. I just thought that was an interesting decision by them. But the rest of the dial, I mean, the quality is absolutely superb. Everything, I mean, the font, the numerals, it just looks great. It's definitely similar in quality to kind of an Alangu and Zona, which is very high praise. We've long praised their dials for their attention to detail. So now we'll move on to kind of the party piece of this watch, and that is the movement. You can see that beautifully hand-finished in-house movement. It's got the Côte de Genève, exposed jewels, the perlage under here, and gold accents kind of throughout the movement. It just looks great. So now we'll actually move on to a wrist shot, and before I do that, I'll actually discuss the clasp and the bracelet. Or not bracelet, sorry, strap. So the strap of this watch is actually made by the famous Italian leather maker Santoni. It's part of a partnership between IWC and Santoni, and they make absolutely beautifully finished straps, and they are very, very comfortable as well. Also, the clasps, we have long praised IWC for the quality in their clasps. They are finished so well. You have both brushed and polished surfaces on the clasp itself, and it just looks, I mean, they put so much attention to detail into it. And I mean, on some straps made by companies like Patek Philippe, I mean, deployant straps I'm talking about here, they tend to be kind of thin, and everything here is very thick, just very robust, but beautifully made. So now I'll put it on the wrist here. And this watch has a 43.2 millimeter case size, which for some might be a little bit too large. I mean, for a dress watch, it's probably a little large, but I mean, for my wrist size, I think it looks totally fine. And given that it is a tourbillon, those dress watches tend to be slightly larger than their non-tourbillon equipped counterparts. But I think it looks very nice on the wrist. As I said, it's very, very comfortable. So, if you like this video, please remember to subscribe and share. And remember, we're at JB Hudson Jewelers in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Thank you.